Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that is for real gamers. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge All-Stars Rivals, aka The Challenge All-Stars 5, episode 6. This season is starting to pick up. Some moves I like, some moves I think are a little bit weird, but we'll get into all of that as we get into this review and recap. Let's start off where last episode left off, and that was with Frank and Sam winning the daily challenge. The house vote was Adam and Steve, and Frank and Sam sent in Devin and Leroy, who was eliminated. And coming back to the challenge house, we have teams like Veronica and Katie. Frank and Sam hoping that this move from episode 5 will really shake up the game. Now, waking up the next morning, we see a conversation between Shane and Davon that lets us, the audience, know why we haven't been getting a ton of Shane and Davon content over the course of the season so far. Coming into the season, I thought Shane and Davon will be the king and queen of confessionals. But as we learn from their conversation, they are so well insulated. They are the nucleus of the entire house. That Davon has a whole bunch of hands in cookie jars on one side of the house, and Shane has a whole bunch of hands in other cookie jars on the other side of the house. Davon at this point is working with Nani, Amber, Fessel, Big T, and Corey. Shane is working with Veronica, Katie, Adam, Steve, Nicole, and Melissa. Together, they are being looked over by the entire house. They have nothing to worry about. And we're getting to the point in the game where they're going to have to choose a side sooner rather than later. And maybe what happens in this week's episode will make them have to choose a side. But let's put a pin in that as everybody dons their challenge gear, heads down to meet up with TJ for this week's daily challenge, which is by a body of water called Playing Dirty. What the teams are going to have to do is climb up this ladder, slide down a muddy slide, where they're going to try to knock off as much mud as possible to reveal the stars and different pictures. Once they've cleaned off enough of their slide, they're going to swim over to their board where each picture is designated to a specific letter. You get all your letters, unscramble it to get a word. The overall quickest team will win into power. The quickest non-star holder team will win Devin and Leroy's star. So there is a game within a game in this daily challenge, which I like. First of all, I really like this daily challenge of Playing Dirty. I thought it was creative. I thought it was fun. It was simple. The challenge also had a lot of fun music cues as well during this challenge. To me, so far on this season, this is the most Challenge All-Stars daily challenge that we have gotten over the course of this entire season. I really like this. I thought there was a lot of fun edits. In round 1, you have Frank and Sam versus Corey and Big T versus Melissa and Nicole. I want to shout out the strategy that Coriel and Big T came up with, and I thought that this was the strategy that was going to win them a star, possibly win them the daily challenge, where Corey was going to hold himself and just start using his feet like windshield wipers to knock off as much mud as possible. Then Big T, who is relatively petite, was going to slide down once and then go directly to the puzzle board. So that way she could be working on the puzzle as much as possible while Corey is trying to knock off as much mud. Frank and Sam pretty much do the same thing, except Frank doesn't use his feet as windshield wipers. He is just sliding down the slide as much as possible. Sam is a real gamer and was going to be putting this puzzle together as quickly as possible. Only one strategy could work, and it was Frank and Sam who was able to win in round 1. Big T and Coriel wasted some time when Big T got maybe too hype that she had found out what the secret word was and called Coriel over as quickly as possible. Come to find out, she didn't have the right letters or enough letters, and so Corey swam all the way to see the puzzle board and then had to go swimming all the way back to the slide, and it just wasted too much time for them to be able to make up time, and Frank and Sam was able to win, yelling out combat. In round 2, you have Veronica and Katie, Nani and Turbo, and Amber and Fessel. This round was relatively straightforward. You have Nani and Turbo having a little bit of tension between each other, but they were able to work well enough that they finished first overall in this round. But because Veronica and Katie and Amber and Fessel are not star holders, they still had to compete to try to get the star. Amber and Fessel were able to get impact and finish up where Katie and Veronica just did not have enough in the tank to be able to compete in this challenge. And in the third and final round, you have Devon and Shane, Adam and Steve, and Ashley and Dario. Adam and Steve did incredibly well. Instead of one person going directly to the puzzle board, Adam and Steve were just going up like a well-oiled machine. Then they both swam to the puzzle board and put this puzzle together. They did incredibly well. If they're not winning eliminations, they're winning daily challenges as they finish first in this heat. When it comes down to it, with the results, the fastest non-star holder team was Frank and Sam. They are on a roll. They did incredibly well, but they were not the fastest overall team. That went over to Adam and Steve, who is finally safe. They can breathe a sigh of relief that they cannot be voted into this week's elimination. And with Adam and Steve off the table, with everybody going back to the challenge house and everybody else is on the chopping block, this is where we see full-on chaos in the game. Everybody, and I mean everybody, had to be having so many different conversations. We got to see so many people have camera time because they're all trying to save their own game. The first conversation we see back at the house is with Nany and Fessel. Nany hears that possibly Veronica's plan is for Nany and Turbo to be the house vote and that Amber and Fessel will be sent in against them. Fessel's thinking, there's no way we can do that. We need to figure out a way to send in one of Adam and Steve's closest allied teams. And everybody's thinking, well, if we send in Katie and Veronica, then Adam and Steve is going to be forced to try to look out for them and not want to send in like Amber and Fessel against Katie and Veronica. So the initial plan is the house vote will be Katie and Veronica and put Adam and Steve on their back heels. But Frank, being a strategic savant, goes to Veronica and says, you need to start putting in a game plan. You need to start walking the halls because right now I'm hearing your name being the house vote. And that's exactly what Veronica and Katie do. They come together with a plan. Veronica starts spreading out names everywhere. She goes and talks to Melissa and Nicole, then goes directly to Amber saying, hey, I heard Nicole wants to say your name. That starts to spread around the house with Amber telling Fessel, who's telling Frank, who's telling Nany. Nany's thinking, okay, Melissa and Nicole. That's where phase 2 goes with this plan where Katie now takes the baton and has a conversation with Melissa where she says, your name is being thrown out there. You're being considered as the house vote, but maybe if there is a plan to get a star holder voted into the elimination by the house vote, and possibly another star could be floating out there for the daily challenge. Melissa, being a little bit nervous hearing that her and Nicole's name is being floated out there, splits up with Katie to go talk to Big T and Coriel. They have a conversation. Corey is wondering who is they. Everybody is talking about they are saying a name. Who is they? Well, that's too much to talk about right now because you only have a couple of hours before the house vote, and Melissa, Coriel, and Big T all agree that let's just say Ashley K and Dario's name. They're a star holder, and everybody's still a little uncomfortable with how quickly Dario was able to say Leroy's name and kind of float their name out there, even though Dario and Leroy are such close friends outside of the game that how can we trust Dario moving forward? So getting to the house vote, it is an avalanche of Ashley K and Dario votes to the point where even Ashley K and Dario vote for themselves because the only other vote was for Nicole and Melissa, and that came from Amber and Fessel because of what they heard from Veronica. And Melissa's like, look, if anybody's hearing that we're saying anything, just come to us and we'll tell you that it is not happening. And they say, look, I don't know who told you that, but it didn't come from us. The game is so small, in my opinion. There's only 9 teams in the house, 18 total players. I truly do not know how Veronica was able to stir up so much chaos and be able to hide in the shadows that nobody was able to clock it, except for Corey seemed to be able to clock it pretty quickly in that he saw Veronica moving around earlier in the day than what she normally does. But what could have been if Corey was like, hey, I'm seeing Veronica kind of moving around differently than normal, how could that have changed the outcome of the house vote and what happened in the elimination? Now, I kind of tipped my hand here, but we're going to go there anyways, where most people get their challenge gear on, head down to the arena where Dario and Ashley step onto the sand with TJ. Then TJ looks over to Adam and Steve and asks, who would they like to send in? Now, prior to coming into the arena, we hear from Adam and Steve that they had conversations with Amber and Fessel and Nany and Turbo, where they both made deals that, hey, if you spare us this time, we'll owe you a favor next time. Adam and Steve need all the help they can with people who are not directly Katie and Veronica and Melissa and Nicole. So they take those deals, they're gonna honor those deals, so they default to sending in Coriel and Big T against Ashley and Dario in this week's elimination called Stack Attack. Each pair will have to get on top of their giant tops. They have to balance to try to get these hanging stars, and then once they collect all the hanging stars, they then have to stack them all in the middle of the top, trying to balance the entire time. If they fall off, it's a 10-second penalty. Kind of like the daily challenge, I love this elimination because it is simple. You can't get too gunked up with the rules because the rules are stay on the top, collect the stars, and stack them. That's all. It's so simple. I think this is so difficult, and how close it is as well, because looking at the two pairs, I thought Big T and Coriel are going to have a much more difficult time. One, we saw that Coriel does not have the best balance when it comes to balance beams at least, but also the discrepancies between Coriel and Big T, between height and weight between both of them, that we saw once Coriel had to shift on the top, that the whole thing would just tip over and they could fall off pretty easily. Ashley K and Dario are a little bit more around each other's sizes, or closer in their sizes compared to Coriel and Big T. So I thought they would have an easier time. They were falling off quite a bit as well. It got really, really close to where both teams were stacking at the exact same time. Big T had one more star the same time that Ashley K was putting on the last star on top of their stack. But when you look at the pictures, you can see that Ashley and Dario's star looks almost perfectly balanced between them, as once Big T had to step up to try to put the final star on top, the whole thing tilted and they fell off completely, and that just opened the door for Ashley and Dario to win. It was great to see Dario not get too hype. When doing this elimination, they were able to lock in, so Ashley K and Dario win, stay in the game, keep their star, whereas Coriel and Big T are eliminated. Now coming back to the challenge house, Corey has one more piece of advice for Amber, where he tells her that she needs to look out for Veronica because she is the person running around the house wanting to target really strong teams. Amber has a eureka moment, kind of maybe looking back saying, oh yeah, Veronica could have told Adam and Steve instead of Nicole doing that. And Veronica was the person who told me that Nicole and Melissa were gonna vote me in at the house vote, but didn't, and then at the house vote was like, we didn't say your name at all. Now I do want to touch on something real quickly, talking about Ashley and Dario winning. We do have this conversation between them at the end of the episode where we learn that their relationship really ended on very awkward terms. We hear that Ashley wanted a family and really settle down, and Dario wasn't comfortable with that, / he didn't feel like he wanted to settle down, and he just dipped. Which is very interesting because here they are being very mature adults about this, having a conversation. Dario apologizes. Ashley appreciates having some sort of closure. It was a very nice moment to end the episode on, because in the past few episodes we've had these big arguments between pairs, and now we have a pair coming together and having a bit more understanding with each other, which I thought was really, really nice. This episode was awesome. This episode had everything: gameplay, a good daily challenge, a good elimination, and then little breadcrumbs into the future episodes of how this game is going to get messier and messier and messier as we go on. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to what's to come next week and the week after that, and so on and so forth. I'm happy that Frank and Sam got their star. I am happy that Adam and Steve won the daily challenge, so that way we could see this gameplay happen. That we got to see so many conversations and people actually have to panic about the house vote instead of it just being a reflex of, oh yeah, we'll just send in Adam and Steve. Not today. I'm excited. This was such a good episode, but now I want to turn it over to you. What'd you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about the daily challenge? What'd you think about the elimination stack attack? And what do you think about how the house vote came to be? Did you like seeing all the different conversations and seeing the through line of how we got to Ashley K and Dario? Do you think that was the right choice for the house? And what do you think about Adam and Steve choosing Coriel and Big T? Do you think they should have swung big and sent in Amber and Fessel or Turbo and Nani? Or do you like their decision that they sent in Coriel and Big T? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. And now I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge All-Stars Rivals content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.